because I went to conference last year in January, and of course, everybody with O'Reilly's, everybody's like, yeah, you got the best mullet in town. Well, a guy from Oklahoma showed up, had a mullet as well, and he was like, you're beat. I'm like, all right, challenge accepted. I'll see you in January. So here we are, a few months to go. Oh, man, I was going to make another announcement. They forgot one. Another thing, too, on that blood drive, if you double-check it as you leave, there's a QR code. Make sure you scan that QR code to get signed up. Just that way kind of get a plan of when you're going to be there. That's the only thing I was going to add to it. Next, going into this, we have a lot going on this November. I recommend start planning now with your family. Get involved, get signed up, and let's enjoy this season. I mean, the holidays are among us, but let's be smart about it too, right? Amen? Smart. Take your time. Don't rush. All right, first and foremost, how's everybody's weekend going? Pretty good? All right, I don't know about y'all, but for the first time in several months, I actually had an opportunity just to sit in my recliner and do absolutely nothing yesterday. It was kind of strange, but I enjoyed it at the same time. My kids, I don't know, not so much. Anybody have little ones? Trying to keep them contained with nothing going on. You could only watch Nemo so many times. Found that out yesterday. Nemo, Incredibles, The Grinch, it all happened. I think matter of fact, I took 3 naps yesterday, so I had a nap with Lucas, a nap with Tobias, and a nap with Rory. It worked out perfect. Until 5 o'clock came around, and we were like, hey, let's get out of here. Or the kids were like, hey, all right, Dad, you've had enough time. Let's get out of this place. I'm like, why? It's fun. You don't like sitting around doing nothing? Absolutely not. So long story short, I think I ended up getting a dad award out of this. Actually, I'm going to blame it on charity. It's charity's fault. So anyway, we were like, you know what? Fine, let's get out of this. Let's get out of the house. We're going to go on a drive. Anybody do that? Load your kids up, go on a drive? Been there, done that. All right, so we let everybody up, and kids, of course, when they get in the back seat and they know we're going out to have some fun, they become the boss, right? No, literally. When we get in, we start driving around, and we get into, of course, they're like, let's go to Five Below. Five Below. Oh, not a bad idea. We're going to go spend $5. Charity's like, I want to go to Target. And of all people, Rory's like, I want to go to Boot Barn and look at new boots. And I'm like, everybody has their own agenda, right? See, they're starting to declaring what we're going to do. So me, the dad award, right? I'm the driver. Start driving out west, and I pull into Target. Charity's going crazy. We're going to Target. Kids get on board. They're like, dollar section. Well, I pull in the parking lot, and I just go right past the front door, and I leave. See, when we get to the point where we're starting to get really busy, we expect things to happen. When Dad's driving into the parking lot, we're going to stop and we're going to get something, right? That's how it works when we get busy. All right, let's keep going a little bit farther. Take that corner where Boot Barn is. Did the same thing. I pull in there. Tobias is going crazy. Throws his cowboy hat on. They're getting all excited. This time I stopped right by the entrance, and then I drove off. Oh my gosh. All the kids at this point is super frustrated, mad, highly upset that, we're supposed to be doing something, right? They're sitting in the car doing nothing. Again, we've done it all day. I go a little bit farther, and he's like, you know what? Neither two of those places really, I don't think there's nothing there for me. I'm going to go home. So, anybody been out to the mall area, you pull out a Boot Barn, you get on the access road, you get on the on-ramp, right? So I punch it right out there, and you know what? We're going home, and I just keep going. At this point, they're highly upset because we didn't do nothing that they wanted to do. See, once again, being busy, we expect things to happen, right? These kids don't know how to be still. Another thing, too, I wish I would have kept going. This is for all you husbands out there. Okay, so of course, I ended up, enough playing games. I pulled him and going to Target, right? Of course, kids are being kids into everything. Hit the dollar section up, and, that's the plan. I told Charity, I was like, hey, look, I don't mind it. We can spend a little bit of money, but the dollar section, clearance. Yeah, right. Man, when you get suckered into going to Target, and they say, yeah, that's fine, clearance, forget about it. There's not a such thing as clearance and Target. So I'm doing the math. I got 3 kids and a wife. I'm like, so that's at least, I could get it all taken care of under $10, right? Negative. Walked out and I was like, $47. I was like, okay, well, so much for just clearance. And that led to me teaching my daughter how to budget. Because she had money, I said, go ahead, spend your money. Cut it in half. Anyway, so there you go. Men, husbands, when your wife says we're going to Target, run. Or accidentally leave your wallet at home. It works. Just saying. Yeah, that's true. That's connected to our bank account. So we're just out of luck. So kind of going into this, I tell that story just for one thing, and I thought it was kind of interesting, was our kiddos are watching everything we do. Being addicted to busy, where did that come from? They weren't born with that. It's because they've seen mom and dad walk down that path. I say this in love, but like I was saying, when we get to that in that rut where we're busy, we start anticipating things to start manifesting, right? We expect things to happen, right? I mean, let's be honest. Why are you busy? What are you trying to accomplish? Think about that. Let that soak in for a minute. You see, when we actually be still and allow God to move in our busyness, the busyness goes away. Couple questions here. This is kind of an activation. This is kind of a self-diagnosing. How many times do y'all wake up throughout the week already going through a to-do list? I've got to get this done, I got to get this done, I got to get that done, I got to get this done. I got to make sure I get the kids here, there, doctor's appointment. Pretty crazy, right? What's important to catch on when you go back, when you lay down that night, how many times you feel like I did absolutely got nothing accomplished? Quite often, right? How does that make you feel? How does that affect your sleep? How does it affect your walk? Starts pulling you away from things that really matter, right? Going into that, I had to learn this the hard way, being addicted to busy, my job. I talk about O'Reilly a lot. For one, for people that know, that's part of my ministry. That's where ministry is. One, my family. But two, O'Reilly Auto Parts has a huge part in my ministry. So telling that story where I came from on that, being shorthanded. Anyone that's been involved in business, being shorthanded is terrible. Because at the end of the day, where does it fall back on? On you. It's your fault. You're the reason why you're busy. And it's real easy for that to become your new identity, right? Everybody's been in that situation to where your job now defines who you are. And it starts with one thing, being too busy. There's times I wasn't getting home till 8:30, 9 o'clock because I didn't know how to shut off my brain, or I didn't know how to tell people no, or I just didn't have coverage. Make sure we're not getting stuck in that situation. Prioritize your walk. So, like I was saying, today we're going to be talking about busyness. Where it comes from, the roots of busyness, and how do we don't get addicted to that. This actually started, it was actually 2 weeks ago in a Saturday morning service where we were going around talking about declaring Scripture, and this came up, and most of you guys are aware of it. It's Psalms 46:10. Be still and know that I'm God. I'll be exalted among the nations, and I'll be exalted in the earth. Put a pin in that. When we talk about punctuality, this is very important. I could read right through that first real sentence, be still and know that I'm God. See how that kind of ran together? What do we get from that? Are you really being still? Now watch how it reads this way. Be still, comma, and know that I'm God. Change the dynamic of it. In order for us to really get what we're supposed to be getting from God, for one, we've got to stop and be still. Well, I got bills to pay. Be still. Well, I've got a fear of this taking place. Be still and know that I am God. We're going to dive into that for a minute. So the term be still, I know sometimes it's very challenging to understand, especially us that have kids. Trying to tell your kids to be still is like not going to happen. But the true definition of that, of being still, is ceasing from your striving through your activity, your distractions, and yes, your busyness. Be still, breathe, and know that I am God. So here's some signs. Here's some problems with being busy all the time. Back to that list, that to-do list that comes up every night. How many times do you catch yourself not being able to go to sleep at night because you've got everything going on? Quite often. That's probably the first thing. Obviously, there's been stories of me actually having a long day at work and then it actually starts falling over in the dreams, and I'm starting to sell auto parts in my dreams. That's a sign of being busy. Just saying. You cannot find rest. Number 2, everything is hurried. Even family interactions, you feel rushed. Trust me. How do you know if that's what's going on? For those of us that have kids, listen to your kids. They'll tell you. Or if you don't have kids, listen to your spouse. So, at our table every night before we're at our table as we get ready for meal, we go around and, if I've had a long day, I'm trying to, it's a quick prayer. God bless this food, amen. Let's eat, let's get this thing done so I can go to bed. Not very healthy. Trust me, my kids catch into that. We'll be eating, trying to get everything through dinner, rushing the process of spending that quality time with the family. Tobias is key on this. He knows we're in a routine. We're going to talk about what was our favorite thing about the day. And if you try to skip that with him, he's going to tell you about it. And it's actually started to feed him with the other kids, for mainly the fact with Lucas. Lucas to the point, and he'll look at you and go, "Are you tired? Can you imagine a 2-year-old calling it out on you?" I'm telling you, if you listen to your kids, they'll tell you what's going on. Pay attention. Remember, when you start getting busy, pay attention to the way you interact with your family. Back to what I was saying earlier, your first ministry has to take place at your home. You've got to take care of that. If we're too busy worrying about the things of this world, something's not getting completed with your family. And I tell you, as a dad, for one, charity, we love quality time together, but the kids that we're bringing up, they just long to be with their dad. Take time and enjoy that while you can. Oh, this is a big one. Remember, we're talking about problems of being busy. One of them's irritability, tension with loved ones. All right, pushing buttons. Oh my gosh. So I love it. Actually, I'm guilty of this. I'm going to talk about Charity because I can. So Charity's pregnant. Finally got through the first trimester, so it's even better. So she'll have a long day in the studio, or I'll come home and, Lucas, praise God that, I have a wife that's willing to do her job and take care of her child. Saves us so much money in childcare, but I give her praise for that, for one. But, just like kids, they push buttons, right? So after a long day in the studio, she'll come home, and I try to give her time just to be alone, but it's fun to press buttons. Hey, are we doing anything for dinner? How come we're not cooking dinner? Like, what's going on? Hey, actually, I'm going to say this, but anyway. Hey, I need work clothes washed. Can we start laundry? Knowing that she's already had a long day. Men don't do that. It's dangerous. But what it results in is us getting away and retracting. So we just got out of that, matter of fact. We took a weekend to go up to Kansas and snuck in and died in Kansas. Like literally, we did absolutely nothing. We went up and down the back roads, slept in till 11 o'clock. And the one time we decide to get out and about, we go to the local grocery store and get busted. Of course, the Hayner family, it's all implanted in Kansas. And it backfired on us. But the reason why I say that, when you notice irritability, get out of town, retract, retreat. Do not get stuck into where you're constantly busy, where you don't get alone with your wife, your spouse. Remember, your first ministry is in the home. Take time to get away with your spouse. It's important. And I'm going to give you, you've heard this, if you've heard any marriage teaching, this is a big one. We use the term HALT. H stands for hungry. A stands for angry. L stands for lonely. And T stands for tired. When you're talking about busyness, evaluate those 4 things with your spouse. If you're honest with yourself and you get feedback on that, make time to retreat. Another thing too, getting busy, staying in a rut, being busy, it's not good on our body, for one. We were not created to be busy all the time. Headaches, aches, pains, stress is caused from being busy, being overdone. Longest time ever dealing with this, being busy, being a college student, charity driving 45 minutes every day. At this time, Rory was a newborn at that time when we started that process. Every year around November, I would always get sick. What happens in November for everybody that's been to college? End of the semester, right? Trying to raise a daughter, trying to study for finals, trying to work a full-time job, trying to lead my family with finances. That's a lot, right? I'd come down and get sick. Ulcers. Everybody's heard of ulcers, right? Flare up from stress. Couldn't figure out why. What is it? Being busy. Pay attention. If you have something that's coming up in your physical body, how busy are you? Take note of that. My case, ulcers, flaring up, being busy. That's where it came from. Eliminate the stress. Haven't had any more flare-ups in, oh my gosh, it's been almost 6 years since I graduated college. I am getting old. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Golden Eagles. I figured I would say that. 31 as of a few weeks ago. Feeling every bit of it, guys. Another thing, too, that you'll notice if you're getting addicted to busy, your time with God becomes minimum. You're more worried about doing X, Y, Z than spending time with God. And by the way, what that looks like is every decision you make, God should be making that decision with you, not asking him to co-sign. Or making that conversation, well, I'll get to God when I can. I got to worry about entering end of the year goals. God, I'll catch you when I'm done with this. I'll see you in December after I get done with all this crazy stuff going on at the end of the year. It's not how it works. Include God in your everyday walk. And at that point, your mind begins to wander. Things get challenging. So we're going to go to 1 Corinthians 6, verse 12. And something that stuck out to me on that was, it's very true. God gives us the free will to do what we want to do, right? 1 Corinthians 6, verse 12 says, I have the right to do anything, but not everything is beneficial. Does that make sense? No, that's in the NIV. You have the right to do anything, but not everything is beneficial. Let that soak in. You see, when we start lining things up with everything of this world, chasing money, chasing being famous, X, Y, Z, we start losing momentum. We start losing the direction God has called us to walk. Not everything is beneficial. Keep that in mind. Paint a picture on that. When you're talking to somebody and you ask them, how are you doing? I want to challenge you this week. Ask somebody, how are you doing? Listen to their response. Take a note on how many people start telling you how busy they are. You want to take this even farther, invite somebody to lunch this week. See what they tell you. Dishonest. Oh man, I got to take the dog to the vet on Tuesday. Then I got to go get my kids at 3:00, and then not to mention I got worship practice on that night, and then they start giving you the excuses of what they're doing. Pay attention to that. At that point, you'll understand maybe they need to not be so busy. It's just something to challenge you on. It's never a no. Being honest with yourself. Sometimes we struggle with that. Making that list of if somebody asks us to go out to lunch or to be a part. It's tough to say no. Don't make excuses to say no. Be truthful. No. Absolutely not. Busyness can become an addiction. So, honestly, a lot of people think the busier you are, the more wealth you got, the more important you are in this world, in this society. But at the long run, we're just hurting ourselves. I'm going to touch on this too because it's ministry related. Prime example, being new to ministry, back when Charity and I got married, 2015, we were in that. I mean, we had 2 services going on Sunday, actually, sometimes 3, 2 English, 1 Spanish, but Charity was still involved with the worship ministry. I was over generations, so trying to plan and strategize and make sure workers are here and there. And then not to mention on top of that, we also had youth on Wednesday nights. And then not to mention on that, we're involved with the women's ministry, men's ministry, young men's, young women's ministry. We had a lot going on. We said yes to everything. And it became tiring real quick. So when we started, honestly, we were just going. We never took time to really fill our own cup. Charity was leading worship all the time. I was usually up in kids ministry serving. Never took time to fill our cup up. So I want to encourage you. I'm not saying don't be involved, but set time in your schedule to be involved, but also make sure you're filling your own cup. And another thing, Sunday morning should not be the only time you're filling your cup. It is all the time. If you show up on Sundays wanting to get your cup overflowing, it can happen, but by we hit Wednesday, guess what? What are you going to do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday? It's going to be a hard time to pour out on other people. See, I think it didn't really hit us that we weren't really filling our own cup until we decided to do a burn and turn with the youth group. And, being young, we're going to go to Dallas. We're going to go watch the Rangers game, have a good time, and then we're going to hightail it back to Amarillo. At that point, we found out that, we might be just a little bit addicted to busy. Earlier, remember I was talking about being irritable with each other? That trip was like the icing on the cake. To the point to where, Christina was part of that. To the point to where we get into the Rangers game, right? I think we had maybe 20 kids, more than that. We get all the kids sitting down, and literally Charity and I, actually Christina had to put her foot in between us. We're having a knockout, drag-out fight about, hey, this person can't sit with this person. Well, you know what? This person needs to sit over there and not next to this person. Fighting over stuff that doesn't even matter on this trip. And Charity's like, y'all need to, like, cool it, separate. I'm like, oh, my gosh. I think it was a little bit because my brother was involved in that conversation, so I was like, he's a teenager. Let him be a teenager. Anyway, being addicted to serving too much. Take time to fill your own cup up so you can pour out into others. It's hard to pour out into others without filling your own cup up first. Take time to receive. Take time to get alone with the Lord and allow Him to speak to you. And once again, like I was saying on that, don't utilize Sundays or a small group to be the only time you're getting your cup filled. Having that relationship on a daily basis with God is how you get your cup filled. We're spending a lot of time talking about busyness, which I want you to catch something here. Busyness is a fruit. It's not the root. What causes you to be busy? Ask yourself, why are you so busy? See, remember, busyness is the fruit. You know, we'll look at alcohol, for instance. That's the fruit. What caused you to go down that path to alcohol? What caused it? Was it depression? Was it trauma from your past? Was it fear? What was it? Motivation behind busyness. Often it's just flat out sometimes it's to impress others. You know, today's world, you're only worth something if you're going 24/7. Nowadays, that's the busier you are, the greater person you are. That's how the world is making it look. It gives you a sign of purpose and importance. We chase achievements. Well, in order to do X, Y, Z, or to be for instance, my case, in order to be the best store in the district, I've got to be at that store 24/7. We start thinking like that. So, once again, being the fruit, we're talking about the root. Trust issues, stress issues, that's some of the root that causes your busyness. Look at the root. So, unforgiveness. Out of sight, out of mind. There's times where coming off of this, being retired, I say retired of softball. Oh, man, I forgot we're recording this. Now it's going to be on file. Yes, I told Charity this year that I'd let go of softball and really focus on bringing my son up. And you come across that, especially in sports. Some of us might know somebody, whether it's their kids, could be them personally, where they're playing. They've got things going on 4-5 times a week. They make themselves busy because they don't want to deal with what's going on at home. I've seen it. It's sad. Or, we talk about kids. Our kids do everything. Your kids are constantly private baseball. I'm just throwing baseball out there because baseball seems like that's going to be the thing with my family, with Tobias and Lucas. Constantly doing baseball lessons, constantly going to tournaments every week and constantly having games. Well, we're now training them to be busy, for one, but why are you making them do that? Have you heard of that term, living through your child? Being busy. You never got that attention. Your past hurts. Maybe you didn't grow up with a dad. Maybe your mom wasn't around, but now you're trying to overdo it with your kid. Does that make sense? Dealing with past hurts could be part of the root that you're busy all the time. But the biggest one I want to focus on that is chasing achievements. Trying to gain step up on somebody, trying to feel important. 1 John 2:16 says, the craving of a sinful man, the lust of the eyes, and the boosting of what he has and does comes not from the Father, but from the world. The Lord caught me of that not too long ago. At the store, we have set numerous records this year. Sales-wise, turnover's good. GP's great. I mean, it's a phenomenal store coming off of Store of the Year last year. And I began boasting about that to family, to friends, to other stores, and God was like, pump the brakes for a second. I was like, oh no. Okay, God, what's up? He's like, remember the reason why you're back in that store? It has nothing to do with you. It's for what I've called you to do inside that store. Do you see the breakthrough that happened in this store? Have we seen people been delivered in O'Reilly Auto Parts? We've seen people go through full-on deliverance ministry there. No joke. We've had people that have had to walk through grievance, and we've actually had team members give their heart to the Lord at that store. You see the ministry there? You see the light that's being shined in that place? The other day, I had a customer come in and was like, what are you doing? Like, we're in the last quarter, and they're like, they walked into the store, and they're like, there's just so much peace in your store. What are you doing different? I'm like, honestly, I'm letting God shine his light in the store. As a businessman, I can control numbers. I can control payroll. I know how to look at a P&L. I know how to do numbers. But at the end of the day, it's nothing I'm doing. It's what I'm allowing to take place in the store. We've got to now where, in the back room, I've shared this story. Every morning, actually two of the people that attend our church, they actually have a deal set up that says, what can I pray for today? Pray for you today, or something like that, next to the coffee. And seeing them have open conversation about what God's doing in their life is the reason why the store's in the position it is. Nothing I did. And having that conversation to God, it's kind of like, hey, it really kind of woke me up a little bit, because at the end of the day, I'm not being busy. My team's not busy. And God's doing this inside the store. It's cool as ever. I mean, just to be a part of. And really, just seeing the team blossom over that, it's just truly amazing. No matter how busy we are, outward success cannot satisfy the longing of God's approval and peace. Now busy you are does not gain approval of your walk. Okay, so just to kind of recap on this, we've talked about busyness. We've talked about the problems of being busy. And we've talked about the root. What's next? Rhythms of grace. The Father's solution of your busyness. Take time. I'm going to actually read this. We're going to go back to the very beginning and look at Genesis. And we're going to look at what God did at the very beginning. And we're going to pick this up at verse 26. Genesis 1, verse 26. I want to read this to you. I want you to catch something here. Remember when we're talking about fear, or we're talking about being busy, working long hours. Usually it's because of fear of lack of money, or whatever the case may be. From the very beginning, God gave us the dominion. Genesis 1, verse 26 says, And God said, Let us make man in our own image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. Then God blessed them, and God said to them, Be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and subdue it. Have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over everything that moves on earth. So from the very beginning, we had the authority over everything. You don't have to prove anything. It's already yours. You have dominion over that. Also, keep in mind, that was done on day 6. He did everything else prior. Why is that? He designed us to fulfill in his breath, to fulfill in his presence, fully in his rest. And then day 7, what did he do? He rested. You see, before we even got here on this earth, everything was done. Everything was already fulfilled. Everything was already created. He did that for a reason. Knowing the rhythms of grace, he has influenced every single thing we do. We do not come around on the second step and have him co-sign. It's already done. He already knows the direction you're going to go. It doesn't make sense to go to the Father first before we go do something and then have him go, yeah, sure, hey, God, sign here. Go to the Father. We're going to keep reading on that. Oh, I talked about the rest. So let's turn to Matthew 11, verse 25, verse 30. Let y'all get there. A little bit of a turn. At the time, Jesus said, I praise you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because you have hidden these things from the wise and learned and revealed them to the little children. Yes, Father, for this is what you were pleased to do. All things have been committed to me by my Father. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and those to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I'll give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you'll find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. You see, what happens there is he reveals himself to us. We were never meant to be unrested. His yoke is easy. His burden is light. You see, if we really grab a hold of that and look at that, we'll talk about finances for a minute. It's not our job to make something happen with our finances. You see, if we present, there's times where we're doing budgets, Charity and I, and in our eyes, we're short like $100 from paying bills. For one, we're giving regularly. We've been faithful. Did we go out and find a second job to make ends meet? We've tried. We've done it. Did it gain anything? Not really. Besides being addicted to busy and pulling time away from family. We've learned it's much easier if we lay it down at the foot of Jesus and say, hey, God, I need your breath to speak into this. Standing on top of our wallets and declaring, hey, fill this up. Have your way in it. And he's done it. Same thing with our health. I could joke around on that, but Charity's on this deal to where she's actually done some research on like the home remedy stuff, making stuff that helps with cost medicine, stuff like that, which is good and all. But when it comes to healing in our child's body, we've seen that. I mean, for instance, Rory's story. Her story is had seizures when she was born, spent several weeks in Cook's Children's, was declared, spoken over her that she had a spot on her brain. Don't know the damage of it. And all we did was declare and pray over her body. A few weeks later, come back and that spot's completely gone. That's declaring. That's laying my daughter at the foot of Jesus and saying, touch her body. And watching him do that, that's what we need to do. We don't need to be so busy trying to make ends meet when all we got to do is go to the cross, lay it at the foot of Jesus, and say, hey, work in this. Or show me the direction you want me to go. That's what that's talking about. His yoke is easy, his burden is light. Tying this back into together, sometimes we just need to be still and know that I am God. We need to stop the striving. We need to stop the activity. We need to connect with God in every moment. Having that relationship with God in every moment will help cut out the unnecessary busyness we may be walking through in everyday life. So, being addicted to busy, you are so prioritized by other things that you cannot see what is right in front of you. Busyness is trying to make things happen instead of allowing God to move in you in the situation. Prime example of that story of Mary pouring out the oil in her perfume. That's a good example of that. She knew exactly who was in her presence. She was in, and it didn't get caught up in what was going on around her, right? Not to mention, she had 7 demons casted out of her that we know of, and now she's redeemed and whole and knew her Savior was everything. So she got down. What'd she do? She poured her all out. Everything she had, she poured out on the feet of Jesus. Everything at the feet of Jesus. She knew the rhythms of grace in his presence. She knew that was everything. Going to God on everything we're dealing with will help us get us to the point to where we don't have to be so busy this season. Start there. As we get ready to close, I want you guys to take some time. And think to yourself, what needs to go? Think about that question. What is one activity you can say no to this week to regain peace? Take a look at your priorities. How many times do you pause and ask God, what truly matters? What truly matters in my life? Is this important? Question number 3. You know, but allow him to reveal that to you. Is there any area in my life that I might not be trusting you in? Take time. Allow him to reveal that to you this Sunday morning. Question number 4. Eliminate. What are the distractions that I need to eliminate? Is it maybe putting my phone at night in a different room so I could soak in prayer? Or is it maybe turning off that game system, put limitations on that so I could spend time with you? In your seats, there's some cards. As we go into this next song, I want you to take some time. Go ahead and tear it open. Is this yours? Okay. I think this is from my daughter. I just opened this up. It says, "My brother is mean to me." On the inside of this, write down a few things. Remember, write down one activity you could possibly let go of this week to regain peace in your life. If there's areas you think you're lacking as far as trusting Him in, finances being one of them, maybe it's your career, maybe it's your health, write it down. And the last thing, if there's a distraction in your life, or maybe this needs to be removed altogether, maybe it's an addiction or something like that, write that down too. Place it in these baskets. We'll take time to pray over these.